I had a look at the questions when you join this group, and a lot of people seem to be struggling with loose lead walking. And even in my private consults, I think that is one of the main issues that I cover. And I think I cover that really well. I feel like loose lead walking is definitely one of my favorite things to work on with dog owners, mainly because walking is something you have to do every single day with your dog. And if walking is a nightmare, then it's like a recurring massive issue for you. So getting that fixed can really relieve some of the stress you're feeling every day when it comes to your dog. So there's a few notes that I've made that I'm going to talk about if I don't get any direct questions. And I'm just going to accept a few more people to the group. It's been very busy for me on this page, so that's awesome. Where can I watch the live? It's live right now. Hold on, I need to just quickly comment on some piece, so it's live in the group now. Yes, I think people are finding it. And I already had a question there as well. What is the best harness to assist in stopping your dog pulling on lead? Someone has a dog that hates walking in general. We definitely need to have a quick look at that. All right, let's start talking about equipment. So equipment always comes up first when we talk about loose lead walking. What really frustrates me is the marketing geared towards no pull devices, because in the end, no pull devices don't exist. It doesn't matter what you put on your dog, they will pull in it if you never teach them how to walk properly. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if you put $100 towards a no pull harness or you walk your dog on a prong collar. No matter what you put on your dog, if you do not teach them how to walk properly, they're going to pull right through it. So I do have a few preferences as to what I do like to use. I rarely use harnesses on dogs. Main reason really for that is that the surface that they can work on, like can pull on, becomes much bigger and much more comfortable. And when I want to give a bit of direction and guidance with the lead, that is way harder on a harness than it is with like a collar or a slip collar or something like that. So for the person that asked what harness would I recommend, I wouldn't recommend any harness, to be honest. I'm gonna have a really quick check if Laura, if you're still in the chat and the viewing, can you go to the post where people are asking where it is and guide them to this post? I'm pretty sure you're still watching. And that, yes, we will be recording this, so if you can't watch, you can look at it later. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about harnesses. I don't use them. I'm not going to say don't use them at all. There are dogs that you can walk on a harness just fine, but there are just a lot of dogs that have just learned to pull really hard on a harness. So that's my preference. So I use no, we're not going for W's. my dog's thinking going for a walk, I either use a normal flat collar or I use a slip collar. So slip collar works like this. Yeah, we teach our dog what pressure is, and I tighten it. Pressure comes on, they stop pulling, pressure comes off, like that. But my main thing with that is that I can really steer my dog really clearly. I've got a video of that. I might post it in the group. It's part of my online course on loose lead walking. That really shows how a slip collar is like power steering, whereas having a harness on, everything kind of gets lost in translation because it just disappears somewhere on the back. The reason I don't use any front pull harnesses is because it's really bad for the shoulders. Yeah, those sit really awkwardly, and every time you pull the dog, the shoulders go like this and they turn. Super uncomfortable, a very unnatural position for dogs. So I never or rarely use front pull harnesses. But having said that, sometimes it's just safer to walk on something like that if, for example, you have a really strong dog and you're only tiny. Yeah, and head halters as well, they can also be really handy if you teach your dog correctly. So that's my point of view on harnesses. Yep, just bring that. All right. If there's any more equipment questions, just hit me up. More than happy to answer them. I also had some notes. Hold on, I'm trying to multitask. It's actually quite tricky to be live and check your comments and make sure that everyone knows where to be and look at what I need to answer. So I'm sorry if sometimes I stumble a little bit. I'm trying my hardest. Yeah, so that's equipment. Then for loose lead walking, if you have 2 dogs, you need to start teaching your dog to walk one by one. Yeah, so I know some of you will have 2 dogs, and it's really tricky to teach your dog how to walk properly if you have 2. Okay, so my advice for that is teach them separately, one by one, and when that's going well, you can start putting them together, practicing the exact same rules. I know that sounds tedious, because who has the time to take 2 dogs for a massive walk? Well, most of you will say no one, and I agree with you. Now, you don't have to walk both dogs every day. It's totally fine if you take one dog on Monday and the second dog on Tuesday and then the first dog again on Wednesday, and you alternate so you can give all your attention properly to one dog, especially if you are a bit strapped for time. And the walks don't need to be an hour, like a training walk can be 10 minutes. And you could maybe give the dog that stays home an enrichment game or something to do if you feel bad for the dog that's staying home. Okay, so if you have 2 dogs, you need to teach them one by one. I talked about equipment. When you start teaching loose lead walking, it's important that you start in a really low distraction environment. So what does that mean? If your dog can't even walk nicely down your driveway, there is no way they're going to walk nicely past the dog park, towards the beach, or anything else that they might find interesting. Yeah, so going really slow is the way to go when we go for loose lead walking. Okay. I really love using visual markers. So what I often do is I do my walking drills, and then once I see that the dog is getting used to it, I will look at, I don't know if there's driveways or lights or electricity poles or something like that. The trees that are planted every few meters, yeah, I use those. And then my goal is, all right, can I walk from point, so say for example, we have point A and point B, yeah, can my dog walk from point A to B without me having to give a correction in between? If that's a yes, awesome, you can get a reward at point B. Yeah, and then I don't have enough hands, so imagine that the space is getting bigger. Now we're going to extend that. Can my dog walk from point A to B to C? Yeah, and slowly those distances are becoming bigger and longer, and you are actually tracking your dog's progress. What we tend to do is that we don't actually pay attention that, hey, initially my dog couldn't walk 10 meters without pulling, and now he's walking 100 meters without pulling. That seems like a very long way from having a successful 20-minute walk. I'm very much aware of that, but it is improvement. Yeah, so we need to acknowledge those things. And that's why I like to use driveways or whatever, because I can count. All right, my goal is today to walk 8 driveways without pulling in between. And then at the end of the 8 driveways, my dog can have a sniff and a treat. Awesome, he did that. Now I'm doing another 8. Yeah, that way it becomes less of a giant walk where your dog just has to walk next to you like this the whole time. And I also get some breaks. Now, how do I layer my walks? How do I train my walks? Let's put it that way first. So I don't use treats. Well, I use an occasional treat, but I use very little treats. What I find is that if you train dogs with loosely walking with treats, is that your dog is walking. So if you're here, your dog is here, yeah, they will pull ahead, and then you say, come back, heel, or whatever it is that you say. They get a treat, they chew the treat, and they're off again. And it becomes this back and forth of your dog just checking in to get treats, but not actually learning, you're supposed to stay next to me, yeah? So I find treats super ineffective for loosely walking. Then another method that is very often used is to stop and wait till your dog pays attention to you. I do use that occasionally just to teach a dog what leash pressure is, especially if I use a slip lead. Yeah, so for example, my dog pulls, like, I'm trying to get the camera angle right. My dog pulls like this, it's tight, I'm waiting until they come back towards me, and then this goes slack. Yeah, I do use that every now and then, so I can teach the dog leash pressure, but even that I don't find a super effective way to teach my dogs loosely walking. Another very often used technique is the 180-degree turns. So that means you walk, and the moment your dog pulls, you turn around and you go back the way you came. That can be effective, but you're never going to get anywhere. It takes forever for you to get somewhere, which I often find people give up on. Yeah, so what we need is a way that you can walk your dog in about a week in almost every situation. And I believe that the way that I teach it, you can do that. So what do? I use body pressure. So what does that mean? I don't pull on the lead. I don't give those leash pops, because leash pops, most dogs are completely numb to those. We use them so often that dogs kind of just forget about it. But I use leash pressure. So what I want is, I might show you with my dog in a minute if he wakes up from his nap, is that every time my dog tries to pass me, my left knee, I turn into him and I push him back. So I'm telling my dog, I'll stand up to show you. So if I'm walking, I'll do it like this so you can actually see. If I'm walking, my dog can have whatever space is here. Yeah, they can sniff, they can do whatever they want, as long as they keep up and they don't pull me. But they can't come to the front. But you can do whatever you want over here. Yeah, so every time my dog comes past here, I will turn into my dog and I tell him back up. Yeah, and I've got a few walking drills for that are super effective, and most owners that I work with have a completely different dog in a session, yeah, in this street without distractions, not when they have like leisurely activity and a dog comes, yeah, that's something you have to build up to. But using body pressure is super, super clear to dogs, yeah, it's something they just understand because that's the language they use with other dogs as well. When a dog wants another dog to move, they get in their space. That's what they do. I'll see if I can get Zelda to come. You can see her there. So I go, Zelda. Yep. So if I have Zelda here and I'm using body pressure, I back her up. Yeah? So that's good girl. Yep, again, back. Yeah, so I want her to move out of my space. So if she was to walk next to me, I just need to grab a treat for her. Yep. She's like, what is happening? So if she was to walk next to me like this, and she was going ahead of me, I would turn into her and I would back her up. So she's behind me again. Yeah, this way. And then I'll start walking again. So how does that look again? Yeah, I know. We've got all this stuff lying around. Yeah, I would walk, she would come ahead, I would turn into her and back her up. Back that way. Yeah. So that is that method in a real quick explanation, and it obviously doesn't look as obvious as it would if I do it in person or if you check out my online course. It's super clear in there. Hey, good girl. So using body pressure, super, super convenient way. If you go slow, you get a really quick result. So it doesn't really make sense, but going slow with that, in 7 days, you'll have a different dog. Again, one dog at a time. If you have 2 dogs, you need to teach each dog separately. Then, when you do want to walk your 2 dogs at the same time, yeah, you need to have them both on the same side. Not 2 dogs like this. Well, yeah, because then you can't turn in the right direction. Yeah, so you have to have both dogs on one side. If you have a zigzagging dog, you need to pick a side for your dog and stick to it. Yeah, so that means that if I'm walking my dog, and well, I'm walking here, and my dog decides to go that way, I just pull them back. I keep pulling them back to the side. They try to go behind my back. Again, I pull them back. Don't give your dog the opportunity to zigzag. Yeah, you just keep pulling them back to your side. Again, I'm showing this. If you want to learn from me, in my online course, I mentioned all of this. Like, I've got videos of everything showing really clearly how you can change that. Let me think, is there anything else I want to talk about? If anyone has questions in the meantime, feel free to ask. It's always a little bit weird sitting here on my chair. I'm just kind of hoping that I'm covering topics that you want to talk about. If there's any questions, please ask them. I'm having a quick look if I can see any other questions anywhere else in the group. Again, I'm trying to multitask here. Oh, this is me. That looks really odd. Yeah, so you can do this method with any type of dog, any breed, age, size, and you can do this on a harness. If you really don't want to walk on a collar or a flat collar, you can do this on a harness. Totally works. I really, really love the walking behind method and the 1, 2, 3 drill. That's how I call it. I don't make it anything fancy because it's not fancy, but it is extremely effective. I don't know, can I share my screen? Let's have a look. Video. No? Because if I can share my screen, I could even show you a few of those things. Beep, beep, beep. I'm very new to doing live, so I'm sorry if it isn't as good as you might be used to, with other people. You know what, I'll share some videos. I'll write it down, the zigzag video and the equipment, so I can share that with you guys. It will be super handy for you to see. So loose lead walking, it doesn't need to take you 9 months. If it takes you 9 months and you're with a trainer, they're not effective. Yeah, your dog trainer should not take 9 months to teach your dog how to walk. What is this? No. Any questions? I talked about equipment, I talked about techniques that work and don't work. I showed you a little bit of my technique. I talked about having 2 dogs. If you have a reactive dog, this technique is also super convenient, and it does help in curbing some of the reactivity. But obviously it's not going to cure it completely. But it does teach your dog to stay behind you so you can deal with what is coming ahead of you. But that's maybe something I'll cover in another live as well. We talked equipment. I don't use treats. I don't know. There's only so much you can talk about when you have loose lead walking. So my number 1 tip, start using the walking behind method with your dog. Yeah. If you're really interested in what it is, I'll share some videos. I'm also giving you a discount code today valid for 2 days to get $10 off my loose lead walking course. That makes it $79 New Zealand dollars. So for all the Australians, it's quite a bit cheaper. I'm just trying to see. I'm getting notifications at the same time. Oh my gosh, that's me. Make it stop. Okay. Yeah, so you're getting a discount code. It's delivery. Give me a minute. Lennox, come. Leave it. Oh yeah. The dog food just got delivered to the house. Even my dogs make noise. You're alright. Good boy. Yeah. If there's no other questions, I feel like I've covered most of the topics that I would assume you have questions about or could have about. I'm going to save this video for you to have a look at later if you weren't able to watch it or you watched only the last end of it. Again, I'm really happy that everyone is here in the group. I'm glad that the 5 viewers that are here right now are staying. Oh, I got a few thumbs up. I don't know for what, but I love that. Thank you. And if you have any questions afterwards, just post them underneath here and I'm more than happy to answer them. Yeah, so I'll do one more recap. Treats are not that effective. Stopping and turning are not that effective. No pull equipment does not exist. And using body pressure is super effective on your walks. And going slow means that in the end you're going fast. Yeah, being really precise at the beginning, using markers, super effective to stay motivated. You can tick your goals and you're off. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, Janine and Beth. Again, it's a little bit weird for me to talk to a computer without any feedback, so if I was rambling a little bit, I apologize. Hope you have an awesome day wherever you are, and talk to you soon. See you guys.